There is something that's running right now to be cleared at this time. And this may be a little bit of a shock factor for some of you. And for those of you guys that have been hanging out for a long time with us, which I see lots of our Healers Rising members here. So their jaws probably won't hit the floor because they're used to me talking like this. What we're seeing right now is there is something in this reality called imprint, or sometimes what we call implant records.
Akashic Records.
Akashic Records. So there are different kinds of Akashic Records. One of the kinds that you guys have is the kind that you build yourself based on the experiences that you co-create between your body, soul, and the soul people, like soul family in front of you. So Violet and I have an interaction, you know, we have a big emotional blowout with each other, boom, mark on our Akashic Records. There's a lesson or something we need to figure out there. It will circle back at some point as a trigger in a mirror, or we will relive it at some point for us to deal with. There's those kinds of Akashics. Or, you know, a really high moment where you step into, you know, maybe being a midwife and you're like, I love this. I live for birthing mamas and babies. I love this power center. I love these vortexes. And it goes as a mark in your Akashic Records of something that was a really big part of your identity, who you are, your core beliefs, values, etc. So it registers both good and perceived bad, lessons, anxieties, emotions, all those things. So they're self-generated Akashic Record.
The big moments in your life.
Yeah. Anything that you register a big emotional response to, that you remember, you cycle through, or that you're operating sort of from, that's registered in your Akashics. But then there's a whole nother set of Akashics that happen where a storyline is fabricated and built by who knows what. We'll get into that on Friday night. If you guys want to join me in circle, we're going to do a big circle and collapse on this subject. So if this is up your alley and you get a resonant yes to this, I'm not charging for it. Like, you guys can just come to Zoom, hang out with me. We're going to do this. There is another type of Akashic record called an imprint record. Now, just out of curiosity, how many of you guys in the chat have had visions, dreams, thoughts, or stories run through your head that you have been persecuted, hung, burned, been a witch, a healer, a medicine person, you know, a shaman in your past life, and gotten in trouble for it? How many of you guys have had those feelings and thoughts and behaviors that if you open your mouth and you try to be some kind of holistic healer, you are going to be harmed? And how many of you guys still today, drop me in the comments when this is for you, still have those thoughts running hard enough to slow you down from actually being visible and helping other people? Now, a lot of you guys are going to have said to me something like, yeah, it's multiple lifetimes of this. And I'm lovingly going to ask you to retest that and ask, truth, is this my created Akashic record? Or truth, am I reading an imprint record that I am operating off of as another one of them? We're going to call it a mainstream media narrative that is across many of the starseeds that are here as a Operation Change the Planet, who are reading the exact same story, using the exact same fear narrative, using the exact same death programming and suppression techniques on themselves as the healer and starseed beside them. Now, yes, there's only so many different lifetimes we can really live on Earth. Like, there's only so many experiences and like soul families, etc., we can plug into. But I have done a little bit of math over the last couple of days, because I was like, how many people actually identify as healers right now, just on Facebook alone? And taking into the law of averages and that the fact that, you know, lots of these people are going to be duplicates in multiple groups, what I came back with is there's at least 1 million people that associate themselves as being healers, just in groups alone. But when I go into the back end of Facebook marketing, there are over 56 million individual people who on their files on Facebook identify with some form of energy healing, crystals, tarot cards, Reiki, meditation, whatever, you name it. About 56 million people just on Facebook alone. That does not include all the medicine people that are still sitting out in the jungles today that do not have the internet.
Mhm.
Now, this is pretty fucking mind-blowing because a lot of us have been told that if you see it, you meditate on it, you see it in your Akashic records, that it is absolute truth. But when nobody's teaching you, hold on, okay, go ahead.
Especially if you have an emotional reaction to it. That's a big part of this.
Yes.
Because I know a lot of you guys are probably testing this and you're like, I can feel it in my body. This is living in here.
You
But that-
think it's living in
I
there.
think it is, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's yours.
Exactly. So an imprint record is built off such a big story that a sensitive person would read it and have an emotional reaction to it the same way you would watching a movie that moves you or going to a stage play that moves you. And you become invested in the characters and the story and everything that are playing out in front of you, to the point where you go, oh, this must be me. Now, when we buy into that imprint record, because it's actually, we could look at it kind of like a collective level psychic attack. I'll go deeper into this on Friday. It's kind of a collective level psychic attack because as soon as a starseed here gets that awareness that they need to wake up and start helping, they need to show up, they need to go grab the tools, the modalities, whatever they're going to do. As soon as they have that awareness, they bump this ceiling. It's like it's built on the same resonance field, because what do we as humans do as soon as we think we're going to go public? We're like, oh, people are going to get mad at me. They're going to throw tomatoes. They're going to judge me. Am I too fat? Am I too skinny? How's my face look? How's my foundation? My eyes are slanted. My boobs are, right? Like we have all these stories that come up. And so as soon as we as humans think we're going to go put ourselves out there, we start making ourselves wrong and we immediately start plugging into death programming. Well, in comes that imprint record. It sandwiches on like a magnet. And because you're in that awakening journey, that magnet is imprinted on your field and you start to read it and you go, oh, of course I feel this way. Because in my past life, when I was a medicine person in 1802, I was burned at the pyre in Salem, Massachusetts. Do you know how many witches I have apparently heard have been burned in Salem? Way more than were actually burned in Salem. Okay, like it is a ridiculous number of people who tell us they are those people, but what they're doing is reading an imprint.
It's the same story as like all the people who have seen themselves as like Jesus or Mary Magdalene or whatever in a past life, or Cleopatra. Like there was one person, right? So how come millions of people have the same story? It's the same thing. It's an implant record.
Yeah. And there are implant records that are actually used for good. And if you guys want to hear more about that on my YouTube channel, there's a video about the drivers and starseeds that you can go listen to, because it will distill a little bit more of that information and you can tap into that and do what you want to do with that. If you listen to that and you're like, oh, I'm pretty sure I'm a driver, I can guarantee you're not. So that would be an example of an imprint record that is riding and driving you, that you've plugged into, that you need to collapse, because if it's true, it'll rebuild and you won't have to fight for it. Okay, just gonna say that. Anyways, so what we're seeing right now with all of these things going on is this implant record is getting fractured at this time, which means it's really loud, because before bad things go out, they get really loud, really ugly, really intense, and then they go poof, because a whole bunch of people realize it and they shut it all down. And you guys, that's what we're going to do this Friday. We're going to go in, and us as a collective, we are going to have a look at what is actually implanted in our fields, what we've been operating on. I'm going to help you defrag the entire system, take out all of the holograms that you're probably operating off of. We're going to clear the field so that you guys can actually have a little more space to see who you are supposed to be, and what you're meant to do in this next leg of the journey. That's our goal. And that's what we're going to be doing over this next period of time as we go from Friday and then into the accelerator. So buckle up, eat some really good salads, right? Like stay off the coffee. We're going to have a real good time. It's going to be a lot of fun. So anyways, if you have been feeling that, or if you've been in that shutdown, you're probably just plugging into this theme right now, and it's time to shut this down. If you're not already signed up to that event, Violet's going to be sending out an email today from us. So if you guys are on our mailing list, you'll have an email sign up there. If you guys are in Awaken and Align, our Starseed Accelerator group, it's in the event section there. So you can hit going to the event. And if you guys are in Healers Rising, I will put the event also up in there so that you guys have the ability to sign up to that. It's going to be an amazing circle. I'm already tapping into all of you guys that are coming already. It's going to be incredibly liberating for so many humans. At the end of the day, the reason I'm doing this is because I'm so sick of watching you guys all beat your heads against a freaking wall and not realize how magnificent you actually are. I'm sick of it.
Yeah. And all of us as a collective holding ourselves back is not doing what we actually came here to do. So like, it's time to like clear that and move on. Because it's so frustrating. You feel like you're being held back. You feel like you can't get where you want to go. You're not, lining up with what you're supposed to be doing. And this is just one of the things that's in the way of that. So yeah.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, like our Zoom room is limited in how many people can attend live with us. We will record it. I will put it up in the Awaken and Align library for you. But if you want to attend live, it's always more potent. Make sure you get there early. We will fill up. We will run out of spaces. I can 100% guarantee that. Yeah. Could this also manifest in indecision, like being stuck between options? 100%. So those frequency implant fields, when we plug into them, we can no longer see self from non-self in a lot of ways. And so we'll dance and we're sitting on the fence a lot because we're like, I think I should. No, that's not right. I think I should. No, that's not right. And we're doing this teeter-totter seesaw back and forth, constant, like, I don't know where to go. I know where to go. I don't know where to go. Right? So yes, it can absolutely cause that. Yeah, the information will be in the sign up. It's coming out via Zoom, and we'll put it up on all our social channels so that you guys can sign up and get in there. You're welcome to show it or share it with any witchy friends you have, any healer friends you have that are going through the same thing. If they would like the replay of it as well, they just have to go through that channel and make sure they're signing up for that stuff. We'll make sure they get it. Anybody is welcome. We are doing this as like, you guys need this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need it.